Hello and welcome into the tub. My hair looks amazing today. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. My hair does look amazing today. And I'm kind of floating a little low in the tub today. So let's fix that. Everybody, welcome into the program. How are you? How was your day? We are going to get into the tub with MAGA today, and we are going to talk to them about what it is that they believe about the world. And we're going to talk to you about what it is that you believe about the world. That's what we do here. Okay? So Sarah Fink, get on in here. How are you? I'm a man floating in a tub in Boca Raton, Florida. Yes, and we are here to talk about how we can save the nation with high-quality, fact-based information. We are here to assert ourselves in a world that is full of shame and doubt and guilt, of dominance, hatred, and cruelty. That's what we're all about here. So welcome in. I love you. You love me. How are you today? Who are you today? Will you tell me who you are? Will you say hello to your old pal Deuce? Because he would love to talk to you. Yes, and. Welcome into the program, everybody. We're just getting started. And we're going to go through the news with Deuce for 1 hour, and then we are going to head over to TikTok, where we will continue to try to grow this community and change the world and save the nation from disinformation with high-quality, fact-based information. Now, who are you, Sarah Fink? Who are you, and will you talk to us? Will you call into the program? We'd love to talk to you. Rev Deuce is just going to get himself in order. And he's so excited to talk to you today about your information ecosystem and how you are and who you are and what you do and who you love and why you don't love and why you hate and why you judge and why you feel inadequate and why you don't feel inadequate and why you feel special and why you don't feel special. Do you want to talk to Rev Deuce about it? He wants to talk to you. Let's start the program with the Daily Dose. This is a prayer that we say to each other every single day, so that we can start our day with the right attitude, an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of caring and knowing about our energy and maintaining a fresh energy all throughout the day. Yes, and. Yesterday we did some freestyle rapping. How about that? It was just okay. Yes, and. So we're going to start the day with the Daily Dose. This is a prayer, Sarah Fink, that we say to each other every single day when we get started. And it helps us go through the day and be the most wonderful kind of version of a human being that we can be, regardless of who we are, regardless of how we woke up this morning or how we went to bed last night. Were we angry when we went to bed last night? Were we sad when we went to bed last night? Were we scared when we went to bed last night? Yes, and get them in here, everybody. Round them up. Roll them out, doggies. This tub works best when people who are MAGA get in it and talk with Rev Deuce about what it is that they believe about the world. When we have substantive conversations with nuance in a world where nuance is being destroyed for us all by the giant dickheads, the global billionaires who are perpetuating the information war against our brains at all times. So get on in here. The show is sponsored by Grass Milk. Grass Milk Soar. And, of course, are you sucking down information light? Or are you having a media diet that is so healthy that you have nothing more than buns that are information tight? That's right. Information tight. It feels so nice. What we do here, we are fact warriors. We fight for fact-based information. And we talk about the consequences of this coup that are destroying our country. Yes, and look at that. Horrible. Look at that poor bald eagle. So welcome into the program today. I love you, you love me. We are an intergalactic family of people who love each other and love the world and understand that we want to be vibrating on the same frequency in a world where we are taught to vibrate on different frequencies. Yes, and. Now, why did this happen when I clicked on this? Why did this happen? Here we go. So it is pretty obvious that it is about white nationalism at this point. Is it not, folks? Is it pretty obvious that it is about white nationalism? Let's read the Daily Dose so that we can be supercharged to talk about this white nationalism. Self, today I endeavor to be a better teammate than yesterday. I vow to keep it simple, to listen better, to commit harder, and to give more expertly. It is my joyous burden to make those around me appear as rock stars and support the ideas of others. I will move past obstructions, drop insecurities, and put trust in myself and others. I will attempt to emotionally connect with whomever I meet. I say this in the spirit of best intentions. Yes, and. Now let's get into it. We want to thank Shooter McGavin and other people who have followed in the meantime overnight, wherever you are. If you'd like to come join us on Twitch, we would love to be here. Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, David, because we are right there. David, you are on top of it, let me tell you. Okay. This reporter, and increasingly the Trump administration and its apparatchiks are so hostile to reporters, to reporting, to anything resembling like transparency and being involved with people in a normal human way. There's nothing normal or human about if you talk to people like this at your place of business. Maybe the dream for most people is to be able to talk to people like this in their place of business. This guy's actually pretty chill as far as it goes, but here we go.
Sorry,
this is a normal question, and it is completely ignored.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to know, there were many, from the BBC, there are many people who fit the criteria of seeking help, who are fleeing persecution. Afghans, for example, I mean, they live in a country run by the Taliban, but they're being denied refugee status. So I'm wondering, why has such an exception been made for the Afrikaans, especially when the South African government says they're not in danger?
This is the first refugees brought into the country. The first refugees brought into the country by Donald Trump and his administration are white South Africans who are claiming that they are being persecuted. The South African government is claiming the opposite. I think people internationally, experts, believe that that is not true.
Thank you for that question. I think you may recall that on the president's first day in office, on January 20th of this year, he issued an executive order that paused U.S. refugee programs that had been going at record levels under the prior administration and had brought in people that we were not sure had been carefully vetted for national security issues, and put a pause on the refugee admission program in general. That pause, of course, was subject from the very beginning to exceptions where it was determined that this would be in the interest of the United States. Some of the criteria are making sure that refugees did not pose any challenge to our national security and that they could be assimilated easily into our country. So
they could be assimilated easily into our country because America is no longer a place that for hundreds of years has had people from all over the world of all different types come into this country. I mean, when are we going to move past this racism? When are we going to move past all of this othering and divisiveness? When we no longer allow the fear-based Christian nationalist, racist, segregationists. It's all born of segregation. It's all born of racism, everybody. Who can assimilate the most easily into our country according to these scared people, these fearful faux Christians? It is white people from South Africa. That's who can assimilate best, because there's no such thing as humanity. There is only such a thing as whiteness, according to the Christian nationalist billionaires who are destroying the country, who are theocrats, We're going to look up theocracy in a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Welcome in LB Bowen. Good morning, Abstract J, Jason, MC Smith, Angie Wheeler, Art Being. Welcome in. How can you share the program with others today? Yes, and thank you. We worship facts here. We reject lies, and we try to reach across the aisle to our MAGA loved ones, because if we do not, and if we do not connect with them, there will be no joy in America, and there will be no joy in the world. So we have to push back against the program of hatred and division that is being pushed on us every single day in the information war that is being waged by the giant dickheads. That's right. Every single day in America for at least the last 10 years, Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk have been attacking all of our brains by bashing our phones full of disinformation into our brains as a bald eagle carries our brain around the country. Yes, and
the president on February 7th
welcome, Charlotte
issued an
F.
executive order about the egregious conditions in South Africa, and all of these folks who have just come in today have been carefully vetted pursuant to our refugee standards, and whether or not the broader refugee programs for other people around the world will be lifted is still an ongoing consideration. But again, the president has recognized the dire situation of this particular group of people.
If you are in America right now, and let's do this live, let's do a live fact check. Are white South Africans being persecuted? But if you are in America right now, you are the descendant of someone who came to America to seek a better life, or you are the descendant of someone who was brought here as an enslaved person. So let's check in on this dire situation. The South African government denies that white South Africans are being persecuted, stating that claims of racial discrimination against them are unfounded. In fact, statistics show that black South Africans are more likely to be victims of violent crime than white individuals. This is from an AI-generated search result, which is not our last. It may be the first thing we consult, but it is the last thing that we want to rely on. So let's see, WHYY, this looks like it might be a public radio station. What are white South Africans? The South African government says, okay, let's check in on this. This is a PBS and NPR. Okay, Trump just brought a group of white South Africans to the U.S. as refugees. What are they escaping? U.S. President Donald Trump says the minority Afrikaners are being persecuted by a black-led government because of their race, and there's a genocide in South Africa. This is what Donald Trump said. There is a genocide in South Africa. The Trump administration brought a small number of white South Africans to the United States as refugees Monday. It says it's the start of a larger relocation effort for members of the minority Afrikaner group who are being persecuted because of their race. This goes into all of the stuff that they have been teaching very sensitive Americans for the last couple of years. They've been talking to them about you are the victims. There is the whole Christian bias thing that's going, and if you don't think that that is a message to white evangelicals, this Christian bias idea, and you are sorely mistaken. And in general, it is they spread messages about white guilt and how they are teaching us history and our children history in school, and that's somehow crippling the minds of just inept and scared and frightened and totally essentially like the snowflakes that there's no integrity to the worldview. I'm sorry, Rev Deuce is increasingly getting upset with what's going on. So the Trump administration brought them. The 59 South Africans had their applications fast-tracked by Donald Trump. The Trump administration has taken an anti-immigrant stance, suspending refugee programs except for white people. South Africa says there's no persecution. Okay, so what persecution is the U.S. alleging? Trump and his South African-born advisor, Elon Musk, accuse them of having anti-white laws and policies, but the claims of persecution and genocide center on a relatively small number of violent farm attacks and robberies on white people in rural communities. The U.S. alleges those attacks are racially motivated, and the South African government is fueling them by allowing anti-white rhetoric in politics and not be doing enough to protect Afrikaner communities. The government has condemned the FAR attacks, but says their cause is being deliberately mischaracterized. Violent attacks on farmers has never been a problem for years, but represent a small percentage of the country's extremely high violent crime rates, which affect all races. The government says there's no targeting of white people, and farm attacks are part of its struggles with crime. Groups representing farmers have recorded around 50 or less farm homicides a year in the last 2 years. Farm homicides, that's weird and curious. Those figures are set against a total of more than 20,000 homicides a year affecting all races. That's a lot. There is no data at all that backs that there is persecution of white South Africans or white Afrikaners in general. White farmers get affected by crime just like any other South Africans. So there's lots of crime. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to script the violence that come here. The Trump administration has also criticized South Africa's affirmative action policies as racist against whites. This is after, decades and decades of apartheid. Falsely claimed white South Africans are having taken their land away back over. Falsely claimed white South Africans are having no land has been expropriated, but Afrikaners who make up many rural communities have raised fears their land might be targeted. Okay, great, but that's just fear. Some Afrikaner groups say the employment, land, and other laws are designed to specifically limit their opportunities. Not the only racial minority in South Africa. And they're not even the only white minority. South Africa also has nearly 2 million white people with British. Okay, so they were talking specifically about the Dutch descendants who are Afrikaners. Trump's administration's program initially only referred to Afrikaners, but in new guidelines, a member of racial minority in South Africa, other racial minorities include a group of around 5 million with biracial heritage, as well as Indian and South Asian. Okay, so that's what's really going on, is that there's high crime. Do we have a specific fact check about this from a fact? Trump is bringing whites out. Persecution was a false narrative. Trump is bringing whites out. Okay, so there we go. We researched that and we looked into that, and so we know that that is a bullshit thing from the Trump administration. Let's move on. We are reading the news with Deuce.
The Trump administration has announced that they're going to start going after anti-Christian bias. As a trained theologian with 10 years of study under my belt and a master's of divinity, I can tell you this is extremely concerning for a number of reasons. I want to suggest to all of us a strategy that will help protect people from this strange crusade, and I mean that in the fullest sense of the word. This strange crusade that is threatening to erode freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, and freedom of speech in this country. What's happening in our society right now? A lot of people on the far right who claim to be Christians in name are enacting attitudes and policies and values that are not Christological. Jesus overwhelmingly preached loving your neighbor, feeding the poor, visiting the prisoner, caring for the stranger and the widow and the orphan, turning the other cheek, not creating political power, political parties, but saying my kingdom is not of this world. I was talking to some far-right family members a few months ago, and I used the term economic justice to describe hundreds of verses in the Bible, and they said that they were not comfortable using that term to describe the Bible. And I was like, what kind of Bible are you reading? It very much seems to me, as a scholar of religion, that Trumpism has changed the face of American Christianity and specifically evangelicalism. And I could talk about that for hours, but here's what I want to offer to you. I would no longer call these people Christians in a historical, traditional sense of the word. I'm not trying to strip their self-chosen identity from them. If they want to call themselves Christians, that's fine. But I would prefer to refer to them as Christocrats, or theocrats. A lot of people use the term white Christian nationalist.
I think it's funny. This lady's about to make the point that, if you say white Christian nationalist, it contains the term Christian, and so she's trying to use this new term. What's interesting, though, is that Christocrats also has Christianity in there.
That's also technically accurate, but again, the word Christian is in there, and if you want to subvert this anti-Christian bias stuff, We need new language for this, because what we're talking about is not Christianity at large. There are millions of beautiful, peace-loving, neighbor-loving Christians in the world who do not deserve to be lumped in with nationalists and theocrats. I prefer the term Christocrat because these folks are choosing to enact a theocracy by way of dismantling democracy, because that is the only way you can actually put a theocracy in place in this day and age. You have to unravel other types of freedom, and you have to unravel pluralism and secularism.
So wouldn't it be great if our mainstream media was talking about this, the main issue, the real conspiracy happening in our country, with the prominence and frequency required for the public to understand, oh my God, don't look at that, for the public to understand what's going on. The real conspiracy. So I'm going to drop this in our country into the chat, yes, and you are going to be a fact warrior. And you are going to go and spread this fact-based information, and this is this is opinion-based in fact. We are also going to drop in this article from WHYY NPR station, so that you can push back on this idea that there is a genocide in South Africa. There is absolutely not a genocide in South Africa. There is rampant crime in South Africa. And so if you want to help people, you would not make it a race-based white Afrikaner system that you are using to, signal also to racists in America that, they are the ones who are going to be protected. And this is a white nation for white people who, as we just saw this fear-based dickhead say, is generally that white people are the ones who are going to be able to assimilate into America. America, a melting pot, a nation of immigrants for hundreds of years. You have to be white in order to assimilate. And let's remember that, Italian people, Irish people, German people did not used to even be considered white. So let's keep going through the news with Deuce. And so we want you to share that perspective from that lady. We think that that's a quality perspective to share. We also wanted to look up theocrat with everybody because we want to see if that's how we want to subvert this idea. The ruler of a theocracy, a believer in theocracy, one who lives under a theocratic form of government, one who in civil affairs conforms to divine law. So let's look up theocracy, since we talk about it a lot here. Government ruled by or subject to religious authority. So it is in opposition to American democracy and American pluralism, the separation of church and state, and it is precisely the program and the desire of the people who create Donald Trump. M. Hi. Hello, M. Hi. How are you? And thank you for following. Yes, and how beautiful. Welcome to the program. Now, what's going on? Are you Supdog? Is this just a new account from Supdog? Supdog. Now, welcome in, and please support us across all platforms. We have plenty of videos on YouTube, TikTok, and what's the other one? Instagram. We also have, other stuff. We've got, hell yeah, M. High. Welcome. We love you. What is this? Oh, no, that's something that has gone away. So here we go. Let's keep reading the news with Deuce, and then we're going to switch over to TikTok, and we're going to try to make TikTok happen at 10 a.m. Because I swear to goodness, it is the way, it is the future for this program, but it is not working, and we're trying to figure that out. So one thing that Rev Deuce wants to do, article idea, Rev Deuce is terribly disorganized. One thing that I want to do is an article about politicians who are messaging well in this time. I know that that's going to be kind of, people hate politicians, but Rep Becca B is kind of crushing it. She does videos, she does all kinds of things. She's doing a way better job than Chuck Schumer, I'll tell you that much. And so in the face of this fascism that is rising, which we all know here as joyful fact warriors in the mega church of joy and the mega tub of joy, we understand that, our problems are the result of information. That's what it all boils down to. And so we are fighting back with fact-based information and persuasive pro-democracy arguments at all times, every single day, even when we're sleeping. Our toes are just typing on the internet. We have created phone shoes, and what we do is we prompt. There's just like 4 buttons on the phone, and then our feet are our feet hit the buttons and they send pro-democracy messages. Can you believe that? You shouldn't, because it's not true. So Rebecca Balint, where is she even from? I mean, are you kidding my daddy? We don't even know. Rebecca B. Why wouldn't you put more information about yourself? Let's find out where she's even from. Rebecca Balint. Vermont. Okay. All right. She's a cool Vermont lady. She probably drinks good beer. So she's a congresswoman from Vermont, and she has this message. Since taking office, Trump has accepted a $400 million private jet as a gift, launched a meme coin so anyone with enough money can buy access to the presidency, and manipulated the market through tariffs so his billionaire friends can get richer. Trump is the swamp he's always talking about draining. He is the grift. If Speaker Johnson fails to allow Congress to put a stop to this corruption, we will have given up one of the legislative branch's most basic duties of oversight. Now, Rev Deuce wants to ask you guys, is Rev Deuce's whole deal off-putting? Like, when people see Rev Deuce's sunglasses and stuff like that, do they just swipe, right? You know what I mean? Like, would it behoove Rev Deuce to lose the glasses, show his baby blues, which are kind of small for my face, let's be honest, and to, maybe do my hair and maybe wear a suit? Like, what would work better? I thought that this was like a gimmick that would work, but I think maybe it causes people to just swipe away. So I want to know what you have to say about that. But of course, I'm preaching to the choir quite literally. Let's keep going through the news. First, I want to drop this so everyone, you should get ahead of the article that we are going to produce about, the Chris Murphys and the Rebecca B's of the world. And you should start to share Rebecca B's content, and you should start to follow her. Not because we are supporting the Democratic Party. It was good enough to draw me in. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Sup, dog? Sup, my dog? So I edited the video of me freestyle rapping yesterday, and I've asked my fiance to take a look at it, but she's busy doing things that are much more important to our lives, but like working. But so we'll check in on that. I don't think it's very good. So Rev Deuce dropped this hot video straight off the presses yesterday, and so if you are a fact warrior, you are going to take to the internet. Well, this video has also been posted to YouTube and TikTok, so you should go and interact with it there. That would be great. It is not performing well at all, but it is a way of telling people that their sources of information, like Jubilee, which again, 60% of influencers get their news and information from influencers online, and over 40% of Americans under the age of 30 get all of their news and information from influencers online, and over 60% of influencers do not fact check any of their information before sharing it online. So that's why we tell people to post stuff, to share stuff, to go into Rev Deuce's reposts on TikTok, where that is vetted information that you should repost. When Rev Deuce adds something to his stories on Instagram, that is information that you should repost absolutely 100p every single day of the week, and twice on Sunday. Okay, great. Let's keep moving through the news with Deuce. We've got this. Now, look, something about our information ecosystem is that all sources of information that are not MAGA sources, MAGA-approved sources, have been dismissed and are dismissed outright by everyone who is MAGA, for the most part. So obviously, because the Atlantic was involved, look, is that his name, Jeffrey Goldberg? Jeffrey is not a cool dude. Not saying that. He volunteered to work in an Israeli prison camp. Not cool, really, when he was a younger man. But look, the reality is that he was in that Signalgate thing. But because that Signalgate thing involved him, now every MAGA person, I mean, not that they were going to necessarily read the Atlantic, but now, of course, if they see the Atlantic, they go, blech. They just they take a big dump. And so if we worship facts like we all do here, when the people did not know where to turn, a man took to the streets and started to share fact-based information. He saved the nation with healthy fact-based information. Yes, and so that's what's going on here. So anyway, we want to get back to this. I found myself thinking I may go on a trip in my van in July and I may tour the country. And so what am I going to do? I might set up a table and say, let's talk about your media diet and talk to people. And the idea of producing that is scaring me, and I need to lean into that fear. Yes, and. Okay. So this is the end of the rule of law in America is the name of this article. And I want to share it with everybody today. The President of the United States appears to have long ago forgotten that Americans fought the Revolutionary War not merely to secure independence from the British monarchy, but to establish a government of laws, not of men, so that they and future generations of Americans would never again be subject to the whims of a tyrannical king. Oh. Well, I thought I originally, thank you, Subdog, I could be. I thought I had originally gotten a, a free article of this. A gift article is what they call it. Did that work? It did not. Interesting. Well, look, if you have a subscription, this is the problem we run into in our mainstream corporate media system, and why we don't publicly fund media with the necessary, with the way that healthy democracies do around the world. But here's this article, and you should go and share it. And if you have an Atlantic subscription, I kind of failed on that one because people don't just naturally have Atlantic subscriptions. Now let's keep going through the news with Rev Deuce. What have we got here? We've got, look at this. We're going to look into this, okay? Because we see information on the internet like everybody does. And this is a pretty salacious story. But so this is a 12-year-old.
On a Waltham sidewalk, the ICE agents take away the adult with them.
It makes me feel sick to my stomach as a mom, as a human being.
Waltham City Councilor Colleen Bradley MacArthur was on Felton Street recording these videos as it happened.
If we weren't there, I mean, he would have just been left on the sidewalk.
Instead, she says neighborhood watch volunteers walked him home. They patrolled the streets in these pink vests, and they were there that day as ICE agents watched them.
They rolled their windows down and had their cell phones and were recording us and taking pictures of us.
You said at one point a car drove at you?
Yes, I was standing on the sidewalk over in the corner. I could tell what he was doing. He was trying to intimidate me with his car.
When that agent got out of his vehicle, she asked,
"Which agency are you with? You need to tell me. It's the law. You're supposed to tell me who you're with." He didn't answer and then turned around and shouted,
"You need to stand back and not interfere."
"I'm not interfering. I'm observing, and legally I am allowed to."
She says by law, federal agents must identify who they are with, and by state law, local law enforcement cannot assist. She reached out.
"I am allowed to."
She says by law, federal agents must identify who they are with.
Okay, so we wanted to point out one thing about this report. So he says, she says by law, right? She says by law. Now, this is ostensibly a journalist. I know it's local TV news, but ostensibly this is a journalist. So do federal agents have to identify their agency when asked? This is from 2020. Broadly speaking, law enforcement officers do not have a legal duty to disclose either their identities or their agencies of affiliation, even if asked directly. Certain municipalities require police officers to identify themselves if asked, but there is currently no federal statute requiring officer disclosure of such information. Okay, let's look for something more recent. This is from the ACLU. New law requires federal agents to identify themselves to protesters. This is from 2021. When people took to the streets this year to protest racial injustice and police brutality, tucked inside the National Defense Authorization Act, which just became law in 2021, when government personnel engage in wrongdoing, such as attacking protesters, one of the first steps in knowing who they are. So the resulting images provoked outcries of our government resorting to the kinds of unaccountable secret police in an important step forward for government transparency and accountability. Houlihan, Murphy, and Schumer heeded the calls for reform and sought to ensure that a new identification requirement would be part of the final defense bill. Thankfully, they were successful. For example, it is always better to have the officer's name displayed rather than allowing a non-name identifier, such as a badge number, to be used as a substitute. His administration should affirm the principles. Okay, so this is still up in the air. That's okay, Jason. I want to read what you said in 1 second. So, okay. I do not want to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I just do federal agents, because it's being hard to find. Federal agents I'm going to chat GPT. Do not be like me. Do federal agents have to identify themselves when asked? This is important because this journalist did not do the job, and that is weird. Federal agents are generally required to identify themselves when performing official duties, but the specifics can vary based on the context and the agency involved. So they are quoting the ACLU. This one quotes Reddit, which we're not going to rely on. If an agent approaches you for questioning, you have the right to ask. Despite these general requirements, there are exceptions. Undercover agents, so maybe these people who are covering their faces, have to do with undercover agents or whatever. This is from, who is this from?
Welcome to County Office, your ultimate guide to local government services and public
Okay,
records.
this is like an AI thing.
Let's get started.
We are not going to rely on that. So it's unsure. And so this journalist was being lazy in this video.
And by state law, local law enforcement cannot assist. She reached out to Waltham police after seeing officers at another ICE incident days later.
They've assured me that they're not taking part.
We reached out to Waltham police but have not heard back. Similar incident in Worcester last week sparked outrage in the community when Worcester police were on scene when two people,
okay,
a boy left
so
by himself on a
Waltham. Okay, so we're just gonna, first of all, we're just gonna like check in on this story. So Waltham, because we worship facts here. Waltham, ICE, 12-year-old. CBS News is reporting it. Something called the Mind Shield. I wouldn't trust that. ICE grabs guy in Waltham. Universal Hub. I mean, what are all these places? So let's check out on the CBS story. CBS, for all of its problems and its kowtowing. I guess, is it racist to say kowtowing? I don't know these days. To Donald Trump and caving to him. Let's just say that. Video shows ICE agents. No, that's not it. Oh, is it? Well, okay. Jose Gonzalez was on his way to work when he saw it happen. He stayed a block away and just watched. The incident was recorded on video. Gonzalez got it from a friend and posted it on social media. In the video, the ICE agent is seen asking the man repeatedly for identification, saying he would leave him alone if he provided it. The man stayed in the van with the door closed. Gonzalez said 5 or 6 people were trying to assist the man by verbally protesting while the raid was happening. He has the windows shut, not reacting to anything because I guess he knows his rights as well. That's okay, Madison. Welcome. By law, a federal agent must identify themselves if they ignore bystanders who ask. Okay, so CBS is saying by law, a federal agent must identify themselves if they ignore, that doesn't even make sense, that sentence. Why can't anyone in mainstream journalism tell us what the frig is going on? By law, a federal agent must identify themselves if they ignore bystanders who ask. So what? That sentence is horribly written. The agent did not identify himself in the video. Eventually, the agent smashed the window, unlocked the door, and took out the man. The incident came a little more than a week after another ICE raid in Waltham where a 12-year-old boy was left alone on a street. Oh, okay. A 12-year-old boy was left behind on a street after an immigration raid in Waltham, Massachusetts, United States. ICE agents were seen on camera leaving the boy by himself on a sidewalk after arresting the person he was with. Jesus. The volunteers patrolled in pink vests. Okay. They rolled their windows down and had their cell phones and record. Okay. Intimidate. Okay. This is the same we just saw. This is okay. This seems to rely on this local news report. All right. So anyway, it appears that this is something that happened. I guess this is the 12-year-old boy. Okay. Fascinating. We've long understood that there's no humanity in criminal justice enforcement. Now let's get into what Jason said. Jason's so sorry. Thank you for waiting. So Jason says in the Substack chat, I wanted to give an update to everyone. I work in the medical field. I was just told by one of the vendors that currently do not have any supply chain issues. However, it looks like they may have updates coming. Okay, Jason, does that relate to something that we were talking about? And welcome in everybody, and we're so grateful to have you here. We are saving the nation with fact-based information in the face of disinformation. We are going through the news. We just verified that this story about the 12-year-old boy left alone on a sidewalk after an ICE raid is true. We also looked into whether or not federal agents have to identify themselves, and it is honestly still unclear based on mainstream media reporting, and that is an indictment of our mainstream media ecosystem. Yes, I am.
Usually, public corruption happens in secret. The politicians that do it, they know it's wrong to accept money in exchange for favorable government treatment, and so they hide it until they're found out. As we speak, our president, Donald Trump, is going to the Middle East on a public corruption tour. And his hope is that by doing it publicly, he can con the American people into thinking that it's not corruption because he's not hiding it. Trump's first major foreign trip, and he just landed, is to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE. Not because these are our most important allies in the world, not because these are the most important countries in the world, not because he's going there to talk about making the Middle East more safe and more secure. No, his first trip is to these three countries because these are the three countries that have agreed to pay Donald Trump money. For Qatar, we recently found out it's a $400 million luxury plane. This plane has been opulently configured for royal use. It's not a gift to the U.S. government. It's a personal gift to the president. But that's not all he's getting from Qatar. The Trump Organization recently signed a $5.5 billion golf course and real estate deal with Dar Global and Qatari Dar, a firm established by Qatar's sovereign wealth fund. $5.5 billion. While Trump's in office, within his first 3 weeks of office, Trump convened a meeting at the White House with the head of the Saudi sovereign wealth fund, not to discuss matters of state, but to negotiate a deal between the PGA and the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Tour. You want to know why? To try to bring PGA tournaments back to Trump golf courses. In addition to the $5 billion Qatari real estate deal, the Trump Organization is also partnering with a Saudi firm on a $1 billion Trump-branded hotel and tower in Dubai. The property's website, this is unbelievable. The property's website, this is a Trump-financed property along with a Saudi investment fund, offers free 10-year golden visas to the United States, hinting at the opportunity for investors in Trump's property to buy residency in the United States and a pathway to citizenship. For the UAE, the price is somewhere north of $2 billion. MGX, an investment firm backed by the Emirati government at this conference, announced that they had looked at all the crypto companies in the world that they could partner with to invest $2 billion in the crypto exchange Binance. And they selected, wait for it, drum roll, the company run by the sons of the President of the United States and the U.S. Middle East envoy. $2 billion. The White House is open for business. And the Trump family is proudly advertising to the world where to send the check. They aren't trying to hide it. A $400 million luxury plane gifted to the President of the United States right as he is going over to negotiate potentially sensitive security arrangements with the Gulf countries. Every American, every Republican, every supposed national security advocate in the Senate should be outraged by this.
Hey, everybody, the reason why we are not all outraged, the reason why we're not taking to the streets is because we have allowed 1/3 of our country to be overtaken by a purpose-built manipulation machine, and the rest of us are sucking down the pacifying neutrality and inoffensive information stream of the mainstream media. And so we have to take to the streets. We have to fight for the minds of our fellow Americans in the information war. We have to be fact warriors in the face of abject corruption. Our MAGA friends and loved ones would never accept if Joe Biden or Obama or anyone else who is non-MAGA was doing this. They just absolutely would not accept it. So every single second of every single day, you need to be spreading fact-based information to flood the zone with facts in the face of people like Steve Bannon who are flooding the zone with shit. Look at him right here. This was Steve Bannon over the weekend, personally flooding everyone's zone, this guy's whole zone, in fact, with shit. And so we are fighting back every single day. In fact, we worship facts here because what happens? How does fascism come to America? It comes to America when we no longer care about information. Fascism is the result of propaganda. Propaganda is effective in converting people from regular citizens in a pluralistic democracy into fascism worshipers. And so we must be fact worshipers at this time. If you disagree, get out of here. And if you agree, tell everyone about the Mega Church of Joy and what we do here every single day. Yes, and I mean, we love you if you disagree, but get on in here because we need to save the world. The world is being destroyed by dickheads who are able to control the headlines and control the means of communication and tune the algorithms to have us at each other's throats at all times. This is the way. If you do not understand this, that's okay. We are here to guide you through it. Information is everything. 99% of what we know about the world is told to us by other people, strangers who purport to be journalists. Many of those strangers who purport to be journalists in this day and age are actually propagandists, apparatchiks of the Christian nationalist and techno-fascist program that is trying to install a theocracy or trying to simply enrich themselves and immiserate everyone else as they create like bunkers for themselves around the world as they anticipate a destructed and uninhabitable world full of violence and cruelty that they are the ones who are perpetuating. It is a weird cycle that they are creating, a cycle of abuse and violence, a cycle of global environmental destruction that they are somehow not helping to allay and to push back on. Rather, they are accelerating it because they are bizarre and they need help. They need to be getting therapy. They need to be ushered out of the halls of power and into the rooms of therapy. Therapists everywhere should be thriving right now as we get some of the world's richest people onto their couches where they can be getting the help that they desperately need to deal with their feelings of shame and inadequacy, their feelings of disconnection, their feelings of isolation. They are so isolated and scared and have such a high need for control in the face of their crippling anxiety and doubt and shame that they are destroying the world. Yes, and thank you so much. Bob's your uncle. So what are you going to do today? How are you going to fix the world today? How are you going to be a fact warrior? As always, this program is brought to you by Grass Milk. Soar. All right. Well, we have had a wonderful time so far today on the program. I'll tell you what, a wonderful time. We want to remind everyone of all of the tools that Public Enlightenment has created for all of you so that you can use those tools to fix the nation, save the nation from disinformation with high-quality, fact-based information for you to be a fact warrior at all times. You can go check out the fact checkers. President Donald Trump expressed willingness to accept a plane from Qatar to be used as Air Force One. Legal experts say that's likely unconstitutional. I would wager that PolitiFact heard from the experts that it actually is unconstitutional, and the likely only is a hedge because it is unconstitutional when the government, the other branches of government, do friggin' anything else about it. Jason says in the Substack chat, perhaps I'm not entirely sure because at least 100 vendors I work with haven't said anything. However, I have heard some reports that said we should see a difference within the next month. Jason is talking about the supply of drogas to Americans, pharmaceuticals, our medicines, those kinds of things. But so we have fact checkers here. You can quickly get a handle on reality by going into these fact checking spaces. What is this one about? Why are we talking about Bill Clinton? Signed a law establishing expedited removal, which allows for deportations without going before an immigration judge. But that isn't an exception from due process, as social media posts have said. Awesome. Interesting. You know, Rev Deuce just realized he can use this list of fact checkers to literally just make a million videos, and maybe that's what he's going to do. And medical supplies, says Jason, to amend his comment. So please go here to our lists. If you want to get national news that is off the mainstream program, and we are being reminded there in the chat of how you can support Rev Deuce. So far, barely anyone is supporting Rev Deuce, and that's okay. You can support him in non-monetary ways, and of course, he's going to work really hard to get enough followers in order to establish subscription models on all of the various platforms. That is the way. Rev Deuce needs to grow. This is the message. This is the way. Help him do so. We have national news with a bias towards democracy, context, and facts. This is all on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, Blue Sky. Everybody get a Blue Sky account. Go here, what you see on the screen. Blue Sky is an app that you can download. It is also a website you can visit on your computer from a web browser. Ever heard of those? And it is the account that we have is called @publicenlightenment.com. You're here watching Public Enlightenment, so you know that that's the right place to be. And it is called @publicenlightenment.com. You go down to the lists. You click on the lists. We are showing you right here with the cursor on the screen. You click on the lists, and you can get all the context you need to understand the news in a matter of minutes every single day. We've got disinformation experts. We've got media critics. We've got legal experts. We've got historians. We've got diverse opinion. Let's check in on the news that we have here. The Republican quote-unquote beautiful bill would kick 8.6 million Americans off of Medicaid over the next 10 years, according to the CBO. You will kill me. I'm HIV positive, one attendee shouted as security rolled her out. I have survived on my meds that are $10,000 a month. There's a lot of criminality there. Why would meds be $10,000 a month? Because of profit, because of disgusting, abject profit. KFF Health News taxpayers have paid billions of dollars to internet companies to hook up rural Americans. Some communities have nothing to show for it, leaving medically vulnerable rural patients disconnected and without access to telehealth. Let's just quickly check in on the reality of Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson's new book, Abundance, and how they have misrepresented facts about the world in order to push their neoliberal agenda, an agenda that says that we need deregulation, and that's the problem with the Democrats, which is absolutely absurd. If we want to make things better, we do not need deregulation. We do not need to be closing down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which made us more money as taxpayers than it cost us as taxpayers. We do not need to be ending research into cancer cures, because that is a way forward for us to all have healthy loved ones who exist and live and enrich our lives much longer than they otherwise would. We do not need a rollback of our protections for the environment. So what are Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson actually pushing on the nation? I believe it is an unhealthy program of neoliberalism that is just nothing more than republicanism light. And it is okay to be a Republican and have those ideas, but if we want to help the world and help everyone and care about people, which I believe evangelical Christians say they want to do, then we are going to need there to be regulation. And so what they talk about in their book, and one of their prime examples that they used on their book tour, is this idea that it was over-regulation by Democrats that hurt the spread of rural broadband. Excuse me, I burp when I live stream, but it does not. That is not the case. It is the corruption of lobbying. It is the heavy hand of the revolving door in our government that is the true cause. It is not regulation. It is the illegal bribery that exists in America called lobbying. Good morning, Momro. We love you and welcome in. And also welcome into Vance Robin. Welcome in. If you are watching on Substack, we ask you to please go to twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment, where you can have a less delayed stream, and you can follow us there so that we can start to get subscription income. Yes, Ed, because we are saving the nation with healthy fact-based information. In moments, we are going to switch over to TikTok, where we will try for the 9 millionth time to have a successful interaction with MAGA folks without getting doxxed or otherwise delisted from recommendation on TikTok. Yes, Ed. So we are showing you, Vance Robin, and everyone else, the tools that Public Enlightenment has created. We have a call coming into the show, and because we have to accept the energy that exists in the world, we are going to answer that phone call now. Hold on, everybody. Here we go. Hello, you are on the phone with Rev Deuce. I love you.
Hey, Rev. I love you, too.
Cool.
I was wondering, what's up with TikTok, man? Like, how are you feeling about it? You're not on the space, so you don't have to do the TikTok at the moment. But, like, it just seems like, what can you do? Can you just, like, sit there for the first 10 minutes and do really nothing other than unoriginal stuff, like, to keep people from reporting you? And maybe if you get past, like, a certain minute mark, you'll be okay? I have no idea how it works. But it's
I have been talking. Yes, thank you. I have been talking to some other folks who have told me that large accounts on TikTok, and just bear with us, everybody here. Bear with us. The caller, you'd sound very cute. Madison wants to tell you that you sound very cute, and I think you're cute too. Now, the thing that's happening is that on TikTok, apparently large accounts are allowed to do whatever it is that they want. And apparently small accounts get like heavily restricted. It's sort of a metaphor for America, isn't it? If you have billions of dollars, you can do whatever you want. Hey, Keela Kitty. Yeah. Hey, Kilala Kitty. We're so grateful for you. Thank you so much. Kilala Kitty just tipped Rev Deuce, which is a rare occurrence, and we're so grateful for that. That's incredible. Thank you so much for supporting Rev Deuce. If only there were a million more people like you. Yes, Ed. Now, David, I believe you're calling it as David, sir.
Yes.
So, David, what I've learned, so what happens is sometimes I post these images, which I believe are freaking incredible. So let's, for instance, show you the Fact Warriors. Sometimes I post this because I want people to be like enjoying the program, and I want to show people these images that I've created because I think they're interesting, and they also quickly describe what's going on with the show and the program. But so what happens is I switch to those while on TikTok, and it immediately, or 2 minutes later, it tells me that I've posted like unoriginal content, and now I've been looking into that. So that's another thing that's happening to me on TikTok. But the way of people doxing me, that actually didn't happen yesterday. What happened yesterday was I was flagged for unoriginal content by, I think, probably some sort of device or program inside of TikTok that like scans your image. And so they have this thing where they say, but if you put a label on it, an AI label, that it's okay. Well, do you think it was easy to find out if how to apply that AI label? Absolutely friggin' not. It was not easy at all. It was, in fact, impossible to understand how to do that. So that's what's going on over there at TikTok. But the thing about TikTok that doesn't happen in this space is that MAGA folks talk to us. And that's what we want. And we were talking with Flirt Cobain and some DMs on TikTok. Flirt Cobain is a wonderful follower of ours. And we were talking with them, and they were saying, you know, your program works, especially in the TikTok sense. What happens for everyone here who's never been on our TikTok live, what happens is MAGA folks come in, and then we start talking about information, and we talk to them about their media diet, and sometimes they join us live and talk to us. And that's what's the most interesting thing, is being in a space with a being of pure light and love like me, Rev Deuce, who sometimes when there's no MAGA folks around, I do lose my cool. But when there's a MAGA person in my presence in the tub, I want to talk to them, I want to love them, I want to support them, I want to get them back on the fact-based stream of information. And yes, David is alluding to the reality that sometimes they report me because they just can't handle, which I understand. Imagine someone told you that, hey, everything you're listening to is being told to you by liars who hate you, right? I don't exactly say it that way to them, but you're basically saying that, and it's an affront to their ego, to their reality, to their identity and their existence, even in the face of the notion that they do not believe that they have an identity because they do not recognize that their politics are identity politics after all. So, David, thank you for asking the question. Do you have any ideas?
Other than like sitting there with like the most boring stream possible for like the first 10 or so minutes, I'm not sure. You know, I just don't understand how most of the social media landscape works. If only there was some sort of like National Institute for Information Nutritionists that can help us out in drafting or proposing legislation to our congressmen about it. Another thing that I was thinking is that you do get a lot of engagement on comments on the YouTube about like, you know, just people saying like, oh, this is a load of crap or whatever. Maybe doing some live messaging for those would be interesting to see, at least for me to like see how you're.
You mean sharing my screen and looking at those comments on my YouTube shorts?
Yes, yeah, and then drafting your response to those comments on the live.
Oh, that's fascinating.
To, like, see what you're thinking about when you're trying to reach and bridge that divide.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to keep trying. You know, yesterday when I had these videos of More Perfect Union talking about Peter Thiel, and I had this video of Steve Bannon basically talking about how he can't wait to rip up the Constitution, you know, that was bringing people in, and they were talking, and people weren't like reporting me or whatever. Pretty bummed about John Cena. Didenden, welcome into the space. What happened to John Cena? We want to talk to you. David, I'm sorry I'm distracted by this new person. And first of all, I also want to honor Knee Blockable, who said my parents have fiber now and they are about 40 minutes away from any major city, but a lot of governments would rather erect cell towers for rural internet. I'm not sure which is better. Yes, so Knee Blockable, there are rules and there are programs in our Federal Communications Commission that are meant to extend broadband internet to rural communities, and now that is being ended because Donald Trump and his program of hate and his program of white Christian nationalist destruction of our government is attacking quote-unquote DEI, and there are words like equity in this broadband law, and so it is being stopped in its tracks. So there's that. So Didenden, welcome to the program. Sorry, David, give me 1 second. What happened with John Cena? Will you tell us in the chat? We can't wait to find out. Is John Cena good or bad? Bathrobe Guy, welcome into the Substack. We are about to leave and go over to TikTok. I have Starlink, says Didenden, it's great. John Cena is bad. Can you tell us why? Would you like to call into the program and tell us why? And of course,
yes,
knee blockable.
Everyone call in.
What'd you say, David?
I said, please, everyone call in. That would be great. I'd love more callers. All right, but I'm going to head off and let the line be open for other people.
Okay, David, I love you. Didenden, please call. Didenden, is that what it is? Didlenden. Heel turn. Oh, he had a heel turn. Wasn't he originally a heel? Let's talk about John Cena for a second, everybody. Wasn't he originally a heel? And so you have Starlink. So we know that you are not going to make decisions for yourself. And that's okay. It's hard under capitalism to make moral decisions. And maybe you're just like, look, I live in a rural area and I need Starlink. And if that's the case, so be it. I don't know your politics, and your politics, whatever they are okay. You're doing the best you can with what you have. Every single human being is. But of course, obviously, Starlink is owned by a global dickhead and a miserator of millions, Elon Musk, professional liar. If you or I, Didlin, had billions of dollars, we'd chill. We would chill out. We would watch WWE. We would maybe even create our own WWE where we could control who turns to be a heel and who doesn't. Didlin says the alternative is Comcast. Sure. And so there are no good decisions under capitalism, as we were saying. But so would you like to call in and talk about your media diet? We love new people in the show. We'd really appreciate a follow. What we do here is we save the nation from disinformation with healthy, fact-based information. We are fact warriors, which you may have been what brought you into the space, and we push for a diet that is so healthy when it comes to media that we cannot help but have buns of steel. And those buns of steel are not real. That is a product that I would have trouble sharing on TikTok. And so we also talk about the consequences of the coup. This is Donald Trump burning all of our money while a bald eagle bleeds out from the neck and immigrant children are in chains. For some reason, their feet are in the ground, and we have Handmaid's Tale ladies in the background. That's right. So you have to be a fact warrior every single time that you are online. We were earlier showing people the tools we have created. We remind everyone to go to publicenlightenment.com. We remind everyone to go to our TikTok, our YouTube, and our Instagram and share all of the videos that we post there. And I will continue to endeavor to make better videos. I was learning some of the skills that I need in order to get people to stay. I'm going to make YouTube short videos that are 45 to 55 seconds long and hope to try to retain people at an 85% retention rate. That's what I'm supposed to do. It's so funny when you watch these videos by people with like successful accounts and they go, so this is just what you got to do, guys. You got to make videos that get 85% retention and that are 45 seconds long, as if that's easy to do. Especially if your content is what my content is, which is incredible content. But the reason why we are where we are in America is because no one gives a shit about information or understands how their information ecosystem works. Neblockable says in the chat, Starlink is about the only option if you live somewhere very rural like rural Alaska. I do dislike what the Starlink stats have done to stargazing. Oh, what the satellites have. Yes, indeed. Yes, and they're also creating tons of space junk. You know, eventually people are going to start dying from space junk falling from the sky. I don't know if it'll all burn up. Will it? I don't know. So look, Rev Deuce is chomping at the bit to see if he can make TikTok Live work because he believes that it is the most successful version. Unless, of course, all of you beautiful people start bringing in your MAGA loved ones to join live and call into the program. Because that is how we are going to save the nation, is by creating a space where there can be substantive discussion across our divide that is created for us by the giant fear-based dickheads who are destroying our nation and our world. Where we can talk to people about the reality that Iran, China, Vladimir Putin are purposefully creating memes and accounts that are meant to align with whatever our political beliefs are and to destroy our trust and faith in any institution and in democracy. That is also the program of our literal leaders, current people in charge in this country. Yes, and Jason says in the chat, Elon was being looked into because he had some sort of space junk caused damage. Well, yes, Elon Musk ended the investigations into him by multiple federal agencies. That is corruption. I don't understand why. I do understand why people root for these folks. It's because they are being hacked mentally by their evolutionary biology and psychology, and that is not to say that in a pejorative sense. Someone could easily hack my brain, hack all of our brains because of our non-MAGA political evolutionary psychology wiring, right? And in fact, they do. And that is what we are all about here. And so we push back on that. If you hate the Democrats, if you hate government, if you hate all of these things, there's been a purposeful effort since at least the 1980s by Ronald Reagan, the Birchers, the moral majority, the business elite, to make you hate institutions, to make you hate the government. Ronald Reagan literally said during his second term, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I am from the government and I'm here to help. This is the president. This is the head of the government. This is a radical position. This is a radical person inside of our government at that time. And it's been radicals all the way down since they purified the Republican Party in the 1980s. Now, did Lyndon? Absolutely. Look, we have an undermined system of government 100%. You have a capitalist society, you're going to have a capitalist government. You have a corrupt society, you have a corrupted Supreme Court, you are going to get decisions that are absurd, like Citizens United. Citizens United is an affront to democracy, where certain members of the community's speech is absurdly, obscenely more powerful than everyone else. In a democracy, it is supposed to be one person, one vote. And when that is totally undermined by the ability to buy the means of communication and tune those algorithms to get people to vote a certain way, to use apps like the Glue app and I-360 in evangelical churches across the country to get people to vote a certain way. You know, we do not have a healthy, functioning democracy in any real way in this country whatsoever. And so wouldn't it make sense for our information ecosystem, for our journalists reporting in the public interest, to be covering that as the main story, as the major story? But no, a mainstream commercialized system for informing the public will never do that. And so we are here to help people get access to sources of information and independent voices that are fact-based and pro-democracy. Yes, and Shooter McGavin, hell yeah, where have you been all our lives? So look, Rev Deuce is going to make a billion videos today. He's going to save the nation with fact-based information. I would like you to follow me over to TikTok now and help me. We are going to troubleshoot how to make TikTok work. I think I might want to invite you guys up as co-hosts, so that we can be in the middle of a discussion about all of this and people can join and we can be loving and supportive of MAGA folks who come into the space, because it's the only way, gang. And then we'll be funny along the way. And yesterday I did multiple hip-hop improvisations, which was a nightmare for your pal Rev Deuce. Not very good at it. Yo, Flirt Cobain, we love you. You are awesome. And you gave us great advice. And it's nice to have 6 people in here. We are very close. Let me check. We are very close to being able to be an affiliate on Twitch, which means I can start to have subscriptions. Now, of course, I need 5 million more people to get involved, because I do see the folks on TikTok and I'm like, oh, this is a cool person. They've got 50,000 followers, but they only have a couple subscribers. So is this ever going to work for Rev Deuce? We don't know. But let's go to Twitch right now. Rule number 1, Rev Deuce, don't be a D, even to yourself, about rapping. Hell yeah. I mean, but the rapping. So, I'm a musical improviser in New York City, and I've had a lot of experience with making up songs on the spot. And I did once. There's a lady. Oh, there is barely any delay on Twitch, y'all. I just got to let you know that right now. Now, we can say dick. Now, hold on. What am I doing? Oh, right. I'm looking behind the scenes on Twitch. We're looking at our followers. We have 42 followers. We need 50 followers. We are averaging 3.4 concurrent viewers per stream. MC Smith, welcome in. If you would like to go follow us on Twitch, we would be so grateful. Yay, dick. Okay, that's a weird way of talking. But yay, dick, indeed. Look, let's just look at it. You guys can come behind my scenes. This is where we're at, okay? Is it cool? I don't know. I don't know who Mild Muse is, and we're grateful for them. But so look at this. We need 50 followers, okay? And we need, I've been streaming like a maniac, like a total freak monkey that the global authoritarians want us to be, except I'm pushing back against the hatred and the division. What's the conversation? I have no friggin' idea. I'm just throwing it against the wall. They say never stop talking, and look, I'll never stop talking to you, my beloved audience. But so use the tools. Go to publicenlightenment.com. I need to start making more tools there. It appears that I'm losing my audience over there, and, whatever. Rev Deuce is kind of, he ebbs and he flows. He's a beautiful being of pure light, just like all of you. And see, look at this. This is how delayed we are. Actually, that's not very delayed. But so we've got all of these beautiful articles, and we want your support, and we're going to keep writing more articles, and we're going to keep making more videos. Rev Deuce finally just realizes that he should use his fact-checking thingamajiggy. He should use the fact-checker thing and the disinformation thing to generate videos. See, this is how we all help each other, and Rev Deuce helps himself, as we come up with great ideas for Rev Deuce. Now, this is the part of the program where Rev Deuce just talks about himself, and everyone loves it. So just go with the motion of the ocean. Hell yeah, my dude. You have to show a little more skin to get you have to show a little more skin to get Twitch views. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Look at my trapezius. Look at this. All right, we're showing skin. Skin is in. Rin Tin Tin. Ricky Tikki Tavi. So this is Renee DeResta saying, I remember this because from 2011 to 2014 or so, I was a VC and a venture capitalist, and we got Airbnb for XYZ pitches all the time, and nearly all of them flopped. Airbnb's own attempt to, how do people become venture capitalists? We are aware that many scientists seem to be putting funding and immediate job security ahead of civil liberties and academic autonomy. Okay, we'll get to the CCD found that Meta's policy changes could stop up to 90%, 7% of content enforcement in key areas, including hate speech. Ugh, gross. What even is that? They have a capital step 1? They have capital step 1. Highlighting the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case reduces support for deportations. Hell yeah. Interesting. Fascinating. Rare for a public poll. We did a survey experiment to test whether priming respondents about the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia impacts support for Trump's broader immigration agenda. It does. Support for blanket deportations fell 20% after hearing about Garcia's case. Fascinating. See, that's the kind of video that Rev Deuce could do. And it's fascinating, too, because I saw this guy who was breaking down into these videos where he's getting millions of views. He's like, I A-B tested it. And he showed, one where he, made it a little confusing in the open, and he showed another where he just got right to it. Shooter McGavin, let's look into that right now. That could be a Deuce debunks disinformation. Let's look into that right now, Shooter McGavin, because I don't know if I believe that that's true. So let's find out right now. We are live debunking. We are debunking disinfo with Rev Deuce. Is it disinfo or not? Let's find out. That's a good okay. Because debunking with Deuce is stupid because people don't even know who I am. So is it disinfo or not? Let's find out. That's a fast opening. But do people know what disinfo means? Do people even know what disinformation means? Is it disinformation? Let's find out. And then I gotta be zooming in on my face at the same time. This is how you do it. This is I learned that this is not success. I got a 1.5 thousand views on a video on YouTube, and I know this is not what people come to the program for, to see me tout my shit. But
if you know more facts about the world, you voted for Kamala Harris. If you knew less facts about the world, you voted for Donald Trump. All of our problems in the world are the result of our information ecosystem. You need to care about everyone's media diet right now. Otherwise, we are ski-rude.
That was my best performing video on Bathrobe Guy. We love you even though your internet sucks. That was my best performing video so far on YouTube Shorts. I learned, though, that it's not very exciting or successful because YouTube Shorts is just captive audience and people just are sent it. But it was progress, let's say. So here we go. But for what? We don't love them hoes. So what we are looking up right now is Oh, you spammed Cap. Sorry about that. What is CSOT? CSOT is the prison in El Salvador. So let's debunk this disinfo. If it is disinfo, is it disinfo or not? Let's find out. That's what we're saying. Is it disinformation or not? Let's find out. Okay. So the answer is we are looking for CSOT, Google Earth images show like blood, right? Isn't that what it was? Fact check. Fact check. Thank you for the hearts in Substack. We're so grateful. So the Daily Dot, which I believe had to close down. People share fears. Google accused of photoshopping El Salvador prison. PBS, no. And you know what? Honestly, DuckDuckGo is probably saving my privacy, but it can kind of stink. You get worse search results, which is not what people say. They say Google is getting worse and worse. Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo. Real photo shows tied up, stripped men. Whoa. Oh, well, we've seen that. Mystery Mound. What is Lad Bible? What are plausible explanations for this red stain? That's Reddit. We're not going to go there. This is Brian Tyler Cohen, who is kind of fact-based, but a little sensational. It's very clearly not blood. Soil in that region. The conditions inside. High-res image of CSOT. This satellite image. This is someone on X. Death camp fears. Satellite evidence of mass murder. This is just someone named Quadzilla Hikes, so no thank you. So let's go and look at this source. What are plausible explanations of this red stain? Where was the person who was talking about it? Julie Cowan says it's clearly not blood. Like, you want to go first to sources that are saying that it's not the salacious thing. So Shooter McGavin says they looked it up yesterday. Do you have any better? Oh, Julie Cowan is just a random person on the internet. Please don't leave there. So much blood on the ground. It is horrific. The sad part about this. Oh, okay. Fascinating. Satellite images of El Salvador. So this is what we're talking about, just so everyone can see what we're talking about. So there is this over here. If you see my cursor there. And they're saying that in 2020 it was not like that, and here it was. I mean, this could honestly just be moisture on the ground, right? Do we understand that that could just be moisture on the ground? Like, how do I move it over? Oh my God. No. Right. Knee-blockable, thank you so much for... Knee-blockable, thank you so much for pointing out the reality that it doesn't matter if it's blood or not. It is not a nice place. And people are being sent there without any due process to a country that is not their own. They are being sent to a prison camp for life. Now, Knee-blockable, can you tell us the sources of information that you had to say that it was not blood? Yes, and thank you. And then we got to go over to TikTok, guys. We got to see if we can make it all happen there. We're going to try some new stuff, and it's going to be beautiful. We're going to try different information on the screen. We were catching people with real conspiracy because everyone's so conspiratorial these days. You can look at the dates on the satellite images and see it form over time. Well, what if they're slowly dripping the blood out? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I do not want to be a conspiracist. Not now, not ever. Bing images if I'm wrong. Oh, so a battle of the Google Earth and Bing Earth. You can see it form over time. Thank you, Knee-blockable. Now, the issue is, why isn't that coming up in our search results? Everybody knows this old school trick, right? You just put real photos show. No. Fascinating. Fascinating stuff. Okay, All right, everybody. How will you be a fact warrior today? How will you share fact-based information that aligns with democracy every single second? Because otherwise, we are ski-rude indeed. Go help Deuce by supporting him. We want to thank Kilala Kitty so deeply for the donation. That is incredible, and it gives Deuce inspiration to continue to save the nation from disinformation with high-quality fact-based information. That's what you should all be doing yourselves. This is the metaphorical image for everything that we do here. And also, how will you love someone today? How will you lift up others today? How will you give to others today? How will you create a world that is better by using your energy to lift people up? We're going to figure it out, everybody. We're going to figure it out. I'm so grateful to you who come here and watch this program. There's something about me that tickles you. There's something about me that pickles you. You sit there and you brine yourself, but in a good way. It is the brine of truth, the brine of imagination, the brine of a future that is safe and healthy for everyone. That's right. We are doing everything we can to work with every single kind of person we know, furries and everyone else, giving them the good news, spreading it across the nation in the face of giant dickheads like Steve Bannon. The shame is that I cannot share these images and these audios on the TikTok because TikTok is a place of hatred and cruelty. But I can show this one. Elon Musk is not well. So even though Din Glendon needs to use Starlink because the options are weak, Elon Musk is not well, and we must fight back against his program of disinformation at all times. So how will you be a fact warrior today like this young lady? She is not real. I am warning you of that. Peta Ramaswamy, I hope you are not related to Vivek, and if you are, can you get him to come on the show? Ramaswamy in Substack. I'm not trying to be racist, but I do not often encounter the name Ramaswamy. So if you are a distant cousin of Vivek Ramaswamy, we would love to talk to you and have you call into the program so that we can get a direct line to your scammy distant cousin, Vivek, who is a fear-based agent in this world. So I love you, you love me. How will you spread information to save democracy? Oh, that's good. I love you, you love me. How will you spread fact-based information to save democracy today? It is an information war every single moment of every single day. Your brain is being carried around by a giant bald eagle, and you want to be patriotic and you want to love this country, but it's so hard when there is so much misery perpetuated by fear-based dickheads who own the means of communication and tune the algorithms and the headlines to divide us. So we need to care about everyone's information diet. Yes, and that is right, every single day. So please go support, boost, lift up your pal Deuce wherever you can. Find us on TikTok in about 2 minutes time. Yes, and have a great day.